Hey everyone, we're going to start our lightning talk, and we're going to be talking about operational resiliency with PagerDuty and AWS. And I am very pleased to have my colleague from AWS today, Ashu, make an introduction.
Thank you, Heath. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a great reInvent. My name is Ashu, and I lead the worldwide resilience go-to-market and partners team. Super happy to be here and talk about operational resilience. Let's get started. I think the most important thing is that why are we here? Why is resilience important, right? When we think of cloud, we often think that cloud is inherently resilient, and that's a myth that we want to bust, right? Like if you think about what happens in 60 seconds, it's annoying because AWS does about 500,000 deployments, and then Starbucks processes about 2.4 million orders for coffee. But why we should really care is about the downtime, because enterprise customers actually experience downtime to the tunes of $5 million, and we have seen customers losing this money. And that's why we really want to address here through operational resilience. I'll move on to the next slide. I think the most important thing is that how do we make sure that ISVs and the partners which are most critical to this ecosystem are integrated with AWS. So I'm super excited to announce that PagerDuty is a launch partner and a flagship partner for us for resilience competency. And the importance of operational resilience with PagerDuty solutions is super critical to our customers. So we are super happy to pass it over to Heath to talk us through a customer case study.
Thanks so much, Ashu. This becomes such an important part of how we think about resiliency in the environment, because people come to AWS, love y'all, but it's not necessarily to save money, right? It's about ensuring resilient operations and the things you do and the way that you create those outcomes and values. But right now there's a shared responsibility model. And in that shared responsibility model, it becomes your responsibility now to deal with everything above the line, right? So AWS does an amazing job for us of ensuring those across availability zones, making sure we're continually delivering the infrastructure, making sure that we've got this piece of, but what happens when we kind of go above the line? Well, it starts to look like this. I now have a bunch of new integrations about the things that I want to do. We're very excited about the new AWS observability capabilities. We're seeing a lot of things that are come from that about how to get better about logs and traces, how we're going to think about the future of OTel growing around that. But I also have got my other monitoring that I have, my Datadogs, my Dynatrace, my New Relics. I've also got Prometheus. I've also got Grafana. I've also got maybe some super old legacy stuff if I'm a banking customer back over here. I was talking to a customer last week who the core of their bank management was running on 60 AS400s. And you can imagine they're really struggling with some of the newer capabilities on doing that. But they have a huge AWS environment. They have to link it to those on-prem AS400s. How are they going to do that? PagerDuty becomes this integration hub for how they think about this problem. Making sure that I have an understanding of how I'm going to take information from my SIEM and understand the security footprint of how I'm driving and delivering things. Everybody here doing AI, right? What are we going to do with that AI? How are you going to manage it? How are you going to think about operational resilience of your AI? You're focused on security, you're focused on data quality, you're focused on data management, but how are you going to ensure constant delivery to the edge? PagerDuty is going to help you do that by being able to complete this kind of integration capability of the way that you think about it. And I want to allow you to do that in the easiest, simplest way possible in this space. So I'm going to do this by ensuring that I'm going to let you work where you want to work. If you want to work out of Jira, fantastic. We'll put a PagerDuty tab in Jira. You want to work out of Teams or Slack? We love that. Being able to have this omni-channel type experience that says when I have an interruption in service, it starts with this ingest. I'm going to take all those signals from your cloud, from your on-prem, from CloudWatch, from CloudTrail, from the new Cloud Observability, and as well as I might have multi-cloud environment. I'm going to take Azure DevOps and things. But I want to be able to pull all those things together and start to learn from them. What is that next best step on how I want to drive and do that? So I want to think about the next step as an automation, right? So many times today, we come into an L1 team, the L1 team does some kind of scanning, does a little bit of handing around, tries to figure out who the next person should go to. What if we can route that to the appropriate place? And what if the first level was actually an agent? a virtual agent that would allow us to now begin to build the appropriate response around what we want to do. Because we're trying to orchestrate this complexity of this response. Because when things break, if it was something simple, inside of a Kubernetes pod, Kubernetes does a pretty good job of self-healing. That's what it is. But it tends to be in these massively complex environments, especially as we're delivering things like AI, that it's more than that. So we want to be able to think about bringing together that complete picture, whether it's starting with what's happening in my pipelines, how am I actually rolling through around that? How do I understand the nature of my pipelines? Am I running blue-green deployments, canary deployments? Being able to think about how I do that real detection and correlation. This is where the real secret sauce is. We actually process 84 billion events per year for our clients, which means that we have an amazing data lake that allows us to help you determine what should these things come together. Chicago Trading Company talked about when they used to have a classic database failure, that they would have 200 and 300 incidents open immediately inside of ServiceNow. Now with PagerDuty, they get one. They know where to start. So they don't have those cascading failures. It's being brought together in a way that I now am empowering people to respond better. We're not just sitting there with the phone going off and me constantly trying to snooze it, saying stop telling about the problem. And this is a key part. Almost everyone that walks through here at PagerDuty, when they talk to us, say, oh yeah, I know PagerDuty, I used it 5 years ago. We agree, we're a 16-year-old company. We're probably older than a lot of the companies that are around here. But that also means that PagerDuty's been waking you up for 16 years, isn't it time we stopped? So we're now an event-driven automation platform that's focused on empowering people with AI and automation to create these next great outcomes. So when we think about that, AWS becomes a fundamental part of our success model and how we think about it. So this is an example of what would happen if I'm actually dealing with an issue inside of AWS. Maybe I've got something happening in MariaDB. Maybe I got something inside of Redis. So we're going to take all those events, we're going to correlate those across the transaction capabilities, help you identify what the underlying probable origin is. We hate to say root cause because root cause is hard. Probable origin is horseshoes and hand grenades, and we can get you a lot closer. Amen. We're empowering people. We're empowering agents to think about that next best thing that we do. So we're going to dedupe, we're going to suppress, we're going to correlate, we're going to help you get to that next best step on what I want to drive and do. I'm going to start then to hopefully drive towards an automated resolution. Now, let's be really clear. IBM first defined autonomic computing in 2001. We were all going to be sitting on beaches drinking Mai Tais. We wouldn't have to go to conferences like this. It would all be easy and stuff would take care of itself. Weirdly, that hasn't happened yet. This stuff's just harder now, right? So how do we begin to do it? Well, we're going to take all these signals, process them, and then we're going to let automation start to drive us and help us get that next best step. Hey, if I'm the network person, the most important metric to me is it's not DNS, right? It is, I want mean time to innocence. MTTI is my most important metric. So how am I going to get to that? Well, I'm going to go out and do ifconfig, ipconfig, traceroute, hopview, netstat, dump the MPLS settings, the virtual switch settings. If I don't do all that, I want that already there. I'm going to check the status of Route 53 to make sure that, okay, I'm good to my VPC. What's happening inside of my VPC then? And allow me to understand that. So contextualize those signals and then help pull together and say, well, I can't fix it myself. Looks like it's something more complex. But now I'm going to tell you, hey, what changed? Have we seen this problem before? I've got past incidents. I've got all the information I need in logs and traces from all the available telemetry that I have inside of my AWS cloud environment, because I've got all these deep links to things like EventBridge to go run those next best automations. Checking in Security Hub. Yep, don't have any issues around auth and the things that I'm actually doing. Being able to get those CloudTrail logs, help me understand, is there anything that I can get more information as I want to empower people around this to go out and solve this problem. I can't do it with the bots, so now I'm going to spin up the team. So now collaboration automation clicks in and allows me to, if I can solve this problem myself, great. If not, I'm going to ensure the same thing happens the exact same way every time, even in a fast-moving AWS environment where things change all the time for me. Because that's what I want to do. It's going to be scaling, it's going to be moving. You don't have to have one static way of doing things. It's taking those signals and helping me very rapidly drive to the next best step around what I want to do. I mentioned AI at the beginning because by law, you're required to talk about AI at every tech conference right now. And we actually have got deep embedding inside across the entire AWS environment right now. So we're built on top of Bedrock. We're built with guardrails as being able to secure the AI and the things that we have around this. So as you're developing your own AI capabilities and what you want to drive and do, we're going to be able to bring a rich set of experience and tooling to help you better understand what's happening around that. And we're seeing this, that we now have we've got a significant integration across more than 300 organizations, heavy influence around financial services, being able to see that how much the savings are around this. I'll give you a very specific example. So we rolled this out, this combined AI offering at a financial services organization. The big thing that leaped off of me of this page, getting rid of my L1. The cost savings for being able to remove my L1 out of my day-to-day operations is a massive improvement on that day-to-day pieces of it. I was actually just talking to a client today. They have L1 through L5. It takes 40 minutes to do just basic handoffs within it before anybody can start actually looking at a problem. And we're already starting to design the system for them right today that's going to be able to take a huge chunk out of that L1 and L2 capabilities for massive savings around what they have. So right off the bat, being able to get a 62% drop, so 2/3 of their L2 incidents, gone. Nobody having to look at them, nobody having to be chasing around them. So our speed of delivery, we're now not going to be focused on keeping the lights on. I've got my smarter folks not focused on break fix, but how do they build the next great thing and what they want to do. So thinking about this, getting back 140 hours per month for an L2 team. Most every organization has some level of technical debt. If you don't, I would like to talk to you, because you're either a 6-hour-old company or you figured out something the rest of the industry hasn't. That's what you do with those hours, right? Great, if people are working 70 hours a week, let them go home and play golf. Let them see their spouse or something. But if not, that ability to come and create these outcomes is going to be a big difference on what they want to drive and do, and see that going forward. And so that reallocation, that's exactly what this team did. They're a financial services organization, so they know how to do that. So that's the question to ask yourself. Walking away from this is, hey, what would happen if I could get 40 hours a month? Again, hopefully you get to see some family, but we have so many things to do. I love and I hate our business. I love our business because I get to meet folks like Ashu, get to hang out with super smart folks like Mandy Walls and others that are doing incredible things across multiple organizations. I hate our business because the only time anybody pays any damn attention to us is when things go wrong or when we want money. So this becomes the perfect inflection point that when you're coming out and you're rolling out these things, go capture CSAT, go capture NPS, go capture hours used, go capture turnover. You don't own all those things, but you're going to influence them and make them better. And that's what I want for you, is to end up with getting that, the high five for your team. Let them actually get a little bit of recognition instead of blame is always a good day in our world. So thanks so much for coming to our talk. Ashu, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your conference. Appreciate y'all.